more awareness, and then bringing this wild horse, catching this wild horse to training. That's the taming process here. And so in the classical Buddhist scriptures from India, gives this example that our mind is like, horse or elephant. And mindfulness is like the lasso. Mindfulness is like the lasso that catches and holds. And when you bring that horse to what you call a pole, right? You tie the thread. Is it a thread? Rope. Sorry, rope to the pole. Maybe thread later on. When it's totally tame, maybe we can use thread. That's right, a rope. So the rope is mindfulness, and the pole where you tie the rope is called awareness. And one that's tied to is your mind. So that's how it's working, the taming process. That's how it's doing. That's what we're doing in our meditation. That's what we're trying to gain here. The taming our mind. So that's the first process here. And the second stage process here is then becomes the training process. So once our mind is calm and once our mind is clear, like when the horse is caught, the wild horses, and then when it is brought to the training thing, and then there's a sense of workability. It's hard at the beginning. You have to work first to tame the horse, and then after taming the horse, then you can train the horse to do anything, right? You can train the horse to jump, leap. What do you have here in Boulder? What, jump, skip? Right? Horses can do that, right? Jump, skip. What is it, bound? Huh? Hop. Yes. All those things. You can train your horse to do. And also you can train your horse to roll. Right? You see in the cowboy movies, right? The horses rolling. You can train them. Like that, our mind gets supple. Once our mind is calm and once our mind is clear, it gets supple, it gets stable, it can be trained, and our mind can be trained in limitless compassion. Our mind can be trained in a limitless love, a genuine love. Our mind can be trained in limitless aspiration of benefiting all sentient beings. That training can only be possible when our mind is calm. And so therefore, calming process, the taming process is very important at the beginning. And so therefore, from the Buddhist approach, in a Buddhist point of view, it becomes quite important for us to work not only with our concepts, thoughts and conceptual mind, but also it's important for us to work with the direct sense perceptions, sensory experiences of mind. There's two levels of experiences we are going through. First, we have a sensory experience of the world, and then we have a conceptual experience of the world. Right? First, you see a form, image, and then you label it. First, you hear a sound, and then you label the sound. Right? It goes all the time with all other senses. And so therefore, in the shamatha meditation, it becomes important for us not only to train working with our thoughts, but also working with our perceptions. That's why we're using shamatha meditation with the external object. Right? You can use any object for your focal point of meditation. So we start with the visual sense perception. This taming process begins with a visual sense perception. So you can use any object like a flower, a pebble, or nice, wooden floor, or something, some images, like the image of the Buddha, Shakyamuni Buddha, or any image you can choose. So what we do is we place our mind on such object one-pointedly. Place your mind first on such object one-pointedly. Usually it's better if you place your mind on one spot, not like a whole area. It becomes vague and disturbing. One spot. If it's a flower, then place your mind on one spot of the flower, like one petal, and the middle of the petal, for example. Place your mind there, relax your mind. Once you have had the one-pointed placement of your mind, focus, then you should relax. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about concentration. Just relax. But if your mind is getting disturbed or distracted, then bring it back with some strengthening your concentration. But when your mind is on that object, then you just simply relax. Touch that object with your mind. Place your mind on that object, touch it, and relax within that. Rest within that. Same thing goes with other sensory objects like sound, smell, touch, and so on. And so this taming process is very important. That's why I'm emphasizing this first. I'm sure you all have done the shamatha practice using the breathing technique. So not going into the breathing technique because you know already, but I'm just giving this a second technique, working with the sensory objects. Why is it important? Is because in everyday life, our mind is always encountering sensory objects. They are so vivid, so strong, so dominating in our life. From these sensory experiences, then we have all kinds of thoughts, mental thoughts, images, concepts that are bringing our mind to these objects and making judgments and so on. So if we can work at the sensory level of their experiences, we can bring mindfulness at that level. Very early stage of labeling. Before you even label, you have a mindfulness there with the sense perception. When you see an image, your mindfulness already is there. When you hear a sound, your mindfulness is there. Right? That's why Buddha said in the sutra, Buddha said that that's the sound. Thoughts, images. So what Buddha said is, Buddha said, when you see it, just see it. When you hear it, just hear it. When you smell it, just smell it. When you taste it, just taste it. And goes on and on in the sutra like that. So what he's saying is placing your mind in that experience. When you can just see it without labeling, then that's meditation.